Another position that you can get the 2-on-1 from is after you've had the 2-on-1, sometimes your partner, your opponent, will post on your head. And there's a number of things you can do from that position besides just re-attack a 2-on-1 to the opposite side, for example, a double leg, which we'll be going over in another DVD. But this is something I think that is useful, and it's a good drill to help you learn to sort of transition from one side to the other and also quickly get that position. High on the shoulder, head inside, controlling the arm well. I have a 2-on-1, Colby blocks and posts on my forehead. What I'm going to do here is it works best if I'm going to be pushing into him slightly so I'm getting something back from him. What I need to do is I need to release the arm that's controlling his shoulder. And you'll notice here, he's starting to beat me with his head. So I really do want to take some action fairly quickly at that point because my position is getting increasingly unfavorable as he's pushing up my head and perhaps even being able to get his head inside mine. So as I push in, I'm going to reach towards his wrist. As I reach towards his wrist, I'm going to keep this wrist. I'm going to turn this wrist down, and then I'm going to come around to the side and to the back, transition to the other side. Again. I have a 2-on-1. I keep the head inside. Colby starts to defend by pushing. I push back in. He continues to push. What I'm going to do is I'm going to transition to his wrist. And as I rotate, the wrist gets rotated down. And then I'm going to come in this position, blocking with my head. Let's try it from a different angle. From here. Colby posts on my head. I'm pushing back into him. I grab. I'm going to come down, putting my head in, controlling high at his shoulder. Colby posts. I'm going to push back. I reach. I torque this arm down and away. Control the shoulder, get my head position. I have the 2-on-1, head inside, controlling the shoulder. Colby here is defending and he's pushing at my head. As I push back, he continues to push. What I'm going to do is I'm going to release. I'm going to grab his wrist through here. I grab tight and I'm going to torque down. Control his shoulder, block with my head. You'll notice too his arm is slightly twisted here as I step through. Another situation is if my opponent has an overhook on me. Perhaps he's got a fairly deep whizzer and he's trying to control me from this position. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to block the arm because I want to get control of the wrist. So I'm going to tend to try to hold that into me. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him a bump because what I want to do is I want to windmill my arm out to come to a 2-on-1. However, if he's a competent and good wrestler, he's probably going to have my arm pretty tight, and so I don't have a lot of space to be able to just pull my arm out, and he's got my arm pretty good. I've got to create that space. So I'm going to control, and you'll notice too what I want to do when he has an overhook or an underhook, doesn't matter, I always want my head on the inside. So I'm going to block here with my head on the inside. He has more favorable position here. I've changed it to where I have a lot more favorable position here. So I definitely want to be fighting for my head position. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it's easier, at least in my view, not to just try to get my head inside. I'll try to get it towards the shoulder and then bring it up. So that way, if his head is down, a lot of times I can get it to the shoulder and then bring it back up. I think mechanically that makes it a little bit easier than just simply trying to fight with our heads to see who's going to get inside. So I block his arm. I keep my head inside. I'm going to give him a pop. And as I give him that pop, slightly with my hip and slightly with my body, what I'm going to do is I'm going to windmill my arm out, controlling this through head position. Colby has a good whizzer here on me or a good overhook. We might be fighting in here. I'm digging through. I block with my head. Again, I always want inside control. I want to control this wrist as I begin this type of maneuver. I want to give him a pop, because if he still is really tight, it's hard for me to get this out. But if I can give him a pop, I'll get some space. He has the overhook. We might be pummeling. Okay, I come slightly to the side. He might be jacking me up. And that makes me feel uncomfortable, especially because he's taller. We talked a little bit about this before. I'm going to post. Okay, I try to control the wrist. And I'm not trying to grab it or pull it out so much. It's just trying to keep it to me. I'm going to give him a pop. And as I do immediately, you'll notice too, I limp arm out and windmill my shoulder. But notice how I lead with my shoulder. In this position, I'm not just going to try to power my arm out. Notice the movement of my body. I pop in. Now from here, it's kind of an arcing motion with my body, and my shoulder leads the way. Okay. I wouldn't let go of the arm here, just for demonstration purposes in terms of the windmill. I want to exaggerate that motion a little bit. Once more. We're in tight. Colby might be jacking me up, which if he's taller would probably be to his advantage. I still try to get head position. I block. I'm going to pop. Now from here, I'm going to come around, get head position, controlling the wrist, pulling the arm in tight, controlling the shoulder, having inside control with my head.